Hello, hello, global change makers from around the world. It is your host of Future TV, Catherine Longy here, back with another episode. This time with the amazing Preet and Kristian, my dear friends and co-creators and collaborators from Kindnamic. So here at Future TV, we're all about showing you that the future that we all want for ourselves, our lives, our families, our communities, the planet, is already here. There are actual people like Preet and Kristian who are up to things in the world that are making a difference today. So we don't need to wait for the future to arrive at some hypothetical point in the future. There's very real, very concrete things happening today that are help ushering in our collective future. And Preet and Kristian are really experts in the corporate world and the corporate landscape and the future of work as they see it. And they've had some really incredible experiences along the way, things that taught them how to be kind to others. And also they experienced a lot of the opposite of kindness in the workplace, which is what made them go, you know what, kindness, I think if we can get kindness in here, we can really transform our organization. So Preet and Kristian, big welcome to both of you today. And why don't you start by sharing with us a little bit about who you are and what you stand for in your own words?
Oh,
Thank you, Catherine, for that beautiful introduction. Over to you,
it's
Preet.
always such a joy to watch you just speak. Thank you. Well, so what kindness to us is something, it's a practice, is a choice that we make. How we're going to talk to each other when we already put in the center of every conversation we have, every relationship that we're building, in the center of it, we say, this beautiful, I don't want to use the word, exchange that we're going to have between us, words, connection is going to be, kindness is the center of it. Then everything that flows from it is going to be beautiful.
Amazing. And Kristian, how about you? What is kindness for you, and why is kindness? Why have you picked up the mantle of kindness as your impact vehicle, and also in creating your legacy?
Thank you, Catherine. Great question. It's the reason we picked up on it is it's something that's always resonated with us as people, and like you said there a second ago, you know when you've been on the receiving end of unkindness, I'd say, and it's interesting how over time, if you're kind, that is perceived as a weakness and an open invitation for people to just take from you, and then not reciprocate. And we realized that, well, why does it have to be like that? And the more people that we've connected to over the last, it's been over 10 years, this journey. So me and Preet have been collaboratively, as working on it for the last 6 years. And it really stemmed from, if you think where Kindnamic was birthed from, it was about 18 months ago, maybe coming up to 2 years now. And me and Preet were, seeing how can we create a space where everyone can come together and be kind and be rewarded for that rather than taken for granted. So, this idea of thriving through kindness, and that it becomes a power versus a perceived weakness, essentially. And I'll hand it back to Preet about how we came up with the name Kindnamic, because actually embedded in the name is the actual sort of mantra, as it were, that we aspire to share with the world. So over to you, Preet.
I just remember one more thing. One of my mentors, Bernie Dorman, used to say, relationships are the best kind of ships that we can travel our life on. And that also reminded me that values are the ocean on which the relationships float on. So if kindness could be the foundational value, all the other waves of values could be collected together, and we could have a possibility of having a very beautiful world. And rather than choosing to be critical about this is not working, that's not working in the world, how about as collective, if we are the masters of our soul and captains of our ship, then how about choosing this relationship of our life, that everything we have a relationship with, towards this kind of world. So that's what happened. And well, as Kristian said, we had been designing several kind of technologies when I was studying my MBA. That was my mindset. What kind of world do I want to create? And Neville Goddard, one of my mentors, he shared that if you don't like where you are right now, change the dream. So my dream was to how I changed the dream is to design certain technologies. How can we make a world kinder place? So we had several designs, blueprints of these technologies. And one day, Kristian was in the kitchen and I was looking at everything. I said, Kristian, we are creating dynamic movements of kindness. And Kristian looked at me, and we took the word dynamic and took the word kind and put it together, take the Y out, because we felt our Y was bigger than infinity, like we felt like that. And we put it together and it came Kindnamic.
You are definitely bringing dynamic movements of kindness. And Kristian, I love what you started pointing to about the maybe the misconception or perhaps the fear of, like, can you be too kind? Like, can you be overkind, or does kindness come with a double-edged sword of like a cost to the individual? Or is sometimes setting your boundaries and maybe things that seem unkind actually being kind to yourself? I'm sure a lot of people encounter this whole, yeah, it sounds really great, guys. Yeah, sky's the limit, kindness, blah, blah, blah. But what about reality? What about when rubber meets the road?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think it comes down to what is your relationship with the person or entity that you're interacting with. Because kindness shouldn't be at the expense of someone else's well-being or position. So there needs to be a balance to the equation, and it's about, does the recipient actually receive that with gratitude, or do they see it as a way of one-upmanship or one-up-womanship? And again, that's changed the equation, because someone's put something into the equation where the equation was just, I can help you, so I step forward and I choose to do so. And I know we were writing out the other day, what is kindness? It's the gift of giving without any expectation of return. The gift of giving without any expectation of return, and knowing that the universe has got your back. Universe being God or a greater higher power or the cosmos, however your belief system perceives that to be, and you experience it. And isn't it interesting that if you go around being happy and sharing joy and being kind, isn't that reflected back to you? And sometimes it's an opportunity to be kind, and in so doing, being kind to another, you impact that person, and you sometimes you don't even know the value of that impact. I've got a very short story before Preet shares. And it was a friend that I was introduced to, and he was having a really tough time, and he was actually on a bridge, and he was going to jump off the bridge in London, and he was sat there on the bridge, and somebody walked past him that was another personal trainer that I knew, and he walked past, and he had a moment of recognition, going, that person needs help. Like, I get goosebumps telling the story, because I can see the story unfolding, and I've heard the story from both of them, right? So anyway, this trainer walked back and said, "Hi, mate. What are you doing?" He said, "I just can't continue." He said, "Okay." And he had the skills, being a personal trainer, to actually engage empathetically, which is one of the big things of kindness. And so they had a conversation. And over the course of about 15, 20 minutes, he actually managed to coax him off, and he took him for a coffee. Now, the interesting thing is they didn't even exchange names. And that day transformed the person that was sat on the bridges. They transformed their life to the point where they then took another 3 years, something around about 3 years, to try and find that personal trainer. Now, you can find this story on YouTube. I won't tell any more, because you should watch it. And it's called Stranger on a Bridge. And then they eventually found him after 3 years. They came together and did something magical. So, that for me is the ultimate act of kindness, which is to be present, observant, see somebody that's going through suffering, pain, or just is stuck. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it could be that they're just stuck. They just need a friendly face, a friendly conversation, or somebody to just listen.
Yeah.
So I would now listen and hand over to Preet.
Yeah, Strangers on a Bridge, folks. So Google it and check it out. And Preet, coming back over to you, the link I want to make to what Kristian shared, I want to re-emphasize the point around the benefit of both people, and that even the trainer who was not the person in need, he was the person providing empathy, providing humanity to another individual who really was in an acute needed humanity right in that moment. So that really beautifully demonstrates the yin and the yang, or the mutual benefit of giving and receiving kindness. Preet, let's go up a level to the more systemic, from the individual interactions to the more systemic places, like in workplaces.
Yep.
Employees will often, in fact, I wrote my master's dissertation on it and just remembered in this moment the psychological contract that people have with their employers. So when employees sign real physical employment contracts, it's generally exchange around money and time and position and confidentiality and those kinds of things. But there also begins a psychological contract, a set of expectations that are unwritten that employees have with their employers, that over time evolve. And then as things happen to them, like they might experience moments of unkindness in the workplace, employees will also feel violated, like, a sacred contract is being violated that the employer doesn't even know about. So what would you say to people at work who aren't loving life? And by the way, I would say that's like the majority of people out there. When you're someone who is, well, let me ask you two questions. Both from the kind of employee point of view and the leadership point of view. What can employees do to bring kindness to their workplaces, and what can leaders do to help foster kindness in their organizations?
I'll start from the employee side. When you come to work, just asking somebody, "Hi, how are you?" not on an automation, just really meaning it and staying for 30 seconds just to really know how you really are. It makes all the difference. And just coming to work, that it matters that I sit on this desk and the person who's sitting next to me, he really cares to hear me. But also being the mature one, also when they are having a challenging day, so I also care for them equally. So it's not just about everybody should be kind to me, and you also got to use that kindness to become that grounded and mature, and then so you can also offer back. So it's our responsibility. That also goes back to what you asked earlier about, when people are showing, it's not just about kindness. I need to receive kindness. It's also about sharing. In terms of leaders have a bigger responsibility. Leaders are people who said, I'm gonna, take this big responsibility of caring for people. It's like being a parent. So now, as a parent, if your company has 10,000 employees, you are a parent to 10,000 employees. And so you got to take care of yourself, take care of your need, make your soul bigger, so can handle that much pressure. And also, but there's also a saying in Africa, it takes a village to bring the baby. So you also have to share that, give that baton and the delegation to other people. So you got to have your managers to take care of these people, but now you're giving piece of yourself to responsibility to these managers to take care of their people further. So you kind of spreading your agency. So that's what it takes to be leaders, in my eyes, and that's the best way I can feel it, that we can spread kindness into our corporate culture.
I love that. so much I love about that. And the metaphor of the parent, when you become a leader, from the moment you assume that position, you have taken on the responsibility of parenting however many people. And I think extending that metaphor a bit, coming back to the employee can be sister, brother, husband, partner, auntie, cousin. Like they also can play a big role in the family and as the cycle of life. And I think this is where perhaps the source of kindness can come from. The cycle of life, at some point, parents become more like children and children become more like parents. There's a point when the dynamic changes. So so what if we all thought of ourselves as both parent and child, and just there might be moments, employees, there might be moments when you need to parent your own parents, and kind of what does that look like? And Stephen M. Covey, who's an expert speaker and thought leader in trust, says that you have to trust first before you can receive trust. That it's not like you wait around to get trust and then you start trusting people. And I'm wondering if you both see kindness in a similar dynamic. Do you need to offer kindness first before you can receive it, or should you wait around like my employer needs to be better, before I'll step up my own personal leadership in this organization?
I'll what you just pointed out, and I think I sort of would put into one word really, is another ship. It's guardianship. So that's what we're looking at. Guardianship of self, so self well-being, guardianship of other, guardianship of the community, and most importantly, guardianship of the planet. So vital, right? So it's about having that ability to see things from those different perspectives. And people say, well, what's the difference between niceness and kindness, for example? And I know we've had this conversation before, and that's a level. If we use the analogy of the sea, well, it's the depth. Are you just on the surface? Are you just being nice because you know that that's going to get what you want? Well, that's self-serving. That's all about self. What's the other interaction in the room? So what is the collaborative connection, communication with the other? And that's about, being seen and being heard with both parties, because that's the relationship. We've done a lot of work also on looking at different types of ships. There's over 60 of them. And there's a lot. And I know you're sort of special in diversity and inclusion as well in that respect, and that is allyship. So how are we collectively going to move forward, or just stay here in a safe harbor, safe port again? To actually reflect and review where we find ourselves before we navigate, because sometimes it's good just to weather the storm, stay in a calm spot together, and say, what have we learned from that experience? How can we now navigate? But before we move forward, we need just to let whatever's happening out there, chaos, settle down. We had 2 years of that, right? Being stuck indoors. So, I think for us, it's about how we have that communication and connection, and that's vital. An open connection, even if you've upset somebody, it's like, well, take a step back, again, weather the storm, listen, step into then saying, okay, I feel, because it'll be an emotional response, I feel you're expressing or sharing this thing. How can I help alleviate that for you?
Yeah.
That's being seen and being heard, right?
I love all of those different kinds of ships. Those are all my kinds of ships. I think everyone watching will be like, yes, I'm on board. That one and that one and that one. Preet, coming back to you, before we go more external and look at maybe some examples of organizations or leaders or people who really inspire you both and you see as leaders of kindness, let's take it down to more of a personal level. So readers, I don't know if you've picked up yet that Preet and Kristian are both partners in life and partners in Kindnamic. That's 2 layers, that those are 2 big jobs to have with each other. You know, how do you experience kindness, being kind to yourself, being kind to each other, and being kind to your business?
That is a very big question. And I have to say first, for being transparent and authentic, it is not easy to spend 24 hours every single day together and do every single thing together. Not easy. But
I know. That's why I asked. That's why I think everyone will want to know.
and so it really requires presence and attention. And it comes also from a spiritual law that I learned very long time ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago now, that you only get to keep what you give away. So whatever you want to protect, and that's then we come into the vices. So I come from, everything I do comes from a spiritual place. I didn't get to, in my young age, the academia, the all the, you know, and I think first I used to think, oh, there was something missing. Now I think actually that did serve me, because then my intuition, all the other qualities are really strong in me, so I can feel the subtlety of the intuitions and the part of it. So I learned this law that you only get to keep what you give away. And so when you want to bring abundance, you share abundance. And they are looking for experiences. Oh, I have this one car now. After some time, the joy of it, or the high of it, goes down. And they want another high, they want another high. So what they're looking for is experience. So if they were to, they can have that, keep that high, maintain that high just with one item rather than accumulating. And James Allen taught us that bigger problem in this world is not poverty, it's gluttony. So as a society, we become gluttonous. And I feel that we could be better as human beings. So if we were share, now I've filled my cup with all the resources I need to take care of myself. I have enough water. So you might, every time you come over, that's my natural practice. Anytime anybody come over, like, okay, I'm getting water. What can I get you? Water, food, what can I get you? Abundant. Share everything you have. And then life brings you more.
I love that. I love that. And Kristian, how about you? It would only be fair to ask you the same question as the other half of the couple and the business. What is it like for you? How do you experience kindness in your different roles together?
I think it's about growth. And again, coming back to what I said earlier, you know, if nice is a surface level, kindness is depth. How deeply do you know somebody? How deeply have you explored everything that person's been through, everything that person's now going through, and how can you bring joy? You know, using our collective, one of our mentors, Richard Barrett's favorite question. You know, Lindsay goes, "What brings you joy?" What a question! And you know, sometimes I think of that. If we're not experiencing joy in the moment, and there's a little bit of irritation around something, I go, what would bring joy to this moment? And that's where I tend to go. So it's like, I be present, I listen. I don't always ask the right question. I'm seeking to understand how to articulate questions, or how to diffuse upset where it needs to be diffused, or whether it just needs to be sat. And we both meditate. So it's like, do we just need to meditate on that and see what comes up? Is it a question? Is it something from the past? Is it something from the present, or is it something from the future? So something from the past will be a regret. Something from the future will be a fear. But if we come into the now and we both are present with it, then I think, they always say 2 minds are better than 1. Well, that's 1 + 1 = 11. It's not double the effort. It's exponential. And we've experienced that in Kindnamic. When we say to somebody, they go, what does Kindnamic stand for? And you go, well, it's kin, family, DNA, which is the blueprint of humanity. And, our blueprint is how to bring kindness to the world. And then, Mike, the message for the world. How do we ripple that out and share it? So it's all about sharing. Mm-hmm. So a problem shared is a problem not just halved, but probably dissolved.
Yeah. I love that you both pointed to similar things, including presence and just being present, you know, giving care, attention, and the just it really, really resonates with me. Before we move to kind of examples in the world, well, actually, yeah, let's move there, and then we'll finish off with you know, how people can get connected with you, so and your work. So currently today, I mean, we were even talking about this with Richard last week, you know, like, who are the examples, like, who are the role models in the world right now? And we were even struggling because in the pandemic, you know, it was more of an acute, there was more of an acute situation. So so leadership was kind of on the world stage. Like, everyone was looking, you know, like, which prime minister, which president, you know, depending on which country you were suffering from COVID restrictions in, you were looking to other countries like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I have a crap one. And then more recently, like in the last 12 months, we've been looking around like, gosh, you know, who are who are the role models today, you know, for you two, and these might be people that our viewers aren't aware of, but they're you know, personal to you. You know, who would you like to share with us today as your own personal role models of kindness?
That is such a beautiful question. I feel, in terms of the big stage, actually, it's quite funny. One day I was talking to my mentor. He has been interviewing lots of people in his life, and one day I was sitting with us like, who is the people, like, who are the people on this planet who, like, as good as God, like, leaders? I want to interview them. I want to learn from them. It was quite hilarious in one way, but then I had this realization, I can't find any, and everybody laughed, obviously. And then I thought, okay, what are the qualities I'm looking for in these leaders until they come in front of me and look into my eyes and say, we are here to save this planet, save everybody. We have to imbibe those qualities. We have to walk this planet, talk those words. We have to sort of use our head, heart, and hands. What are we looking from those people when on the planet, when Jesus came, the Guru Nanak came, all these big spiritual teachers came and taught us what the right thing to do is at that moment in time. And I'm coming from that point of view and living this life and the qualities and the values, imbibing. I'm not perfect, of course, far from it, but at least I'm making an attempt to be that to bring those qualities in my life.
And how about you, Kristian?
Oh goodness, I could rattle off loads of names. I'll give you a few. Raj Sisodia, who's going to be joining us in a few months' time, as you know, coming over from America.
Tell us about him. So for people who don't know him.
Yeah, if anyone that doesn't know, you need to look up Conscious Capitalism, which is a book and it's a movement. And he's written about 6 or 7 books. One of them was also called Everybody Matters, which every business leader should read. And that's with Bob Chapman, who is a legend in engineering circles over Canada. Is it Canada? Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah.
Reboot the Future is another one. Paul Polman, Paul Polman was ex-leader of Unilever. There's loads. Yeah.
What I was gonna say one more thing last.
Richard Barrett, of course.
So all these big political leaders and those big on the big stage, they kind of let us down. So I have more hope from the entrepreneurial community to make the change in the world. So I wanted to add that. So all the people that you mentioned, these are entrepreneurs, business people who are trying to make a difference in the world. And our power is in the collectiveness, togetherness. That's how we can make our world better place, kinder place. That I wanted to finish that on that.
We've also got real world people doing massive things on the ground as well that we're connected to.
Yes.
And that's another, we through a way of celebrating that, we actually have established a community impact company that was formulated on Monday. So we're going to have 2
Congratulations.
working in the corporate culture, and then we're also working in the community. And the idea is that we bridge that with everything that we're doing and everything we point at and everything we bring to the table for those leaders to, the experts to learn from. We're still learning ourselves, as I think, every day is a school day, as they say. There's lots to learn.
I would like to mention one more name, one of our really dear friends, Bremley Lindoff. He's somebody who's working on the ground, worked with many heads of state. So when he's with me, always asking him questions about, when you met Kofi Annan and Nelson Mandela, what questions did you ask? What did they say? And so I'm looking for those inspirations, those golden nuggets. That what were they looking for? But and somebody you should interview as well for this, so people get to know his work as well. He's already planted nearly 500 million trees. His mission is 1 billion. And I asked him the other day how many trees we should be planting to really care and take care of our planet properly. And he said 1 billion every year. So we have a big job on our hands. So it's entrepreneurs who can really make a difference. And our power is really in togetherness. So we need to join hands, love, trust each other, and not be afraid of giving kindness first. Be courageous. But I totally know this, what I know for sure in my heart, that when we take that courage and put kindness in the center of every conversation and relationship we have, all the other values starts to flow. So we will have courage to trust each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, Preet. I have a lot more optimism around entrepreneurs and business people than around politicians. And actually, what I would say to entrepreneurs and business leaders is go run for office.
Who's going to run the businesses?
Yeah. Succession planning, you'll figure it out. So big thank you, Preet and Kristian, for being who you are, being a friend of mine, making the difference that you make through your kindness movement. And I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, wherever you are watching Future TV from, like, share, post, reshare, connect with Preet and Kristian. Even if you're like, I'm not ready for a conversation or, to be that bold, but just, click on their profile, like, friend, link in, whatever. Just take one action on the back of this that's going to have a ripple effect. So Preet and Kristian, thank you. I love you. We're going to have you back. We're going to have all of your friends and change makers back. So until next time, sending you love.
Blessings, much love. Thank you.